Hey, what's up, guys? Bajheera here. Now that we have access to the level 58 pre-made Alterac Valley PvP test server, I thought now would be kind of a good time to go through a basic Arms Warrior PvP build for you guys in Classic WoW. So this is going to be slightly different just due to the fact that we have pole arms instead of like axes or swords. So that's going to change things ever so slightly, and I'll sort of tell you when that happens. But here's a build that I've found to be pretty darn effective, and one that I think will be something that I play when Classic actually comes out. So just to go down the line here, we'll start off, and this is a build that I'll probably even use while leveling. I thought I might level his Fury a little bit, but it seems like Arms feels really good, mostly because you have access to Tactical Mastery, which allows you to stance dance without losing all of your rage, which is kind of like essential to the Warrior class. So that also has some nice synergy as you go down the line, so we'll show you that. But anyway, I'm going to put 3 points into Ren. I'm going to actually only put probably 2 points into Parry, just for a little bit more defense, so a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense. And we're instantly going to put 5 points into Tactical Mastery so you can swap stances. At this point, the next thing to do is probably go to Deep Wounds. It means that whenever you crit somebody with this, it says like, you know, critical strikes, which includes your auto attacks. It'll make them bleed for 60% of your weapon damage, and a lot of times you're going to want a big, slow weapon to benefit from like weapon damage attacks like Overpower, Mortal Strike, things like that, but also from this. Having a nice bleed off of your weapon damage is going to be sweet. So then I'd probably go into Improved Overpower, because this is going to work really nicely with this. Like, all of these things synergize super well together. So this makes your Overpower have a 50% increased chance to crit, which will then proc your Deep Wounds. And then, of course, to make your crits hit even harder, you take Impale, which means that your crits will do 20% more damage. Like, not just like, you know, you crit, deal 20% more, but like, you know, you double the damage, and then, you know, it's 20% on top of that, which is a lot of deeps. And then, of course, you want to grab Anger Management. I'm not sure if this still has the like hidden passive that I've heard about, where you actually generate, well, actually, I know for a fact that there's a hidden passive where you generate rage in combat. So I'm thinking about right now after I've been doing PvP, and yes, your rage will tick up like by 1 over time. So not only do you have a longer time for your rage to go down when you're out of combat, you actually gain rage in combat too, so that's nice. In terms of which order to take these, I mean, I want to say you can do whatever you want. I think that getting this really soon is really nice. This is really nice, then this is just going to be solid. So all these are super cool. Like, this is all really, really good, and I promise you, Tactical Mastery doesn't make you do more damage, doesn't do anything like that, but it makes your class feel so much better to stance dance. So once you grab all these things, we're going to put a few points into increased, like, just 2-handed weapon damage, but I'm not going to max it out yet. Usually what I would do is I'd probably jump to, like, Sweeping Strikes, or like, no, what I would, yeah, for dungeons and stuff like that, go to Sweeping Strikes. That also allows you to grind up mobs pretty easily. But now, since, like, I would usually go for, like, axe specialization for the Whirlwind Axe at this point. Sword spec, I mean, it's cool, but, like, I love seeing those, like, you know, vanilla PvP montages where the warrior has a sword and just crunch people with sword spec. But I think axes are just so much better. But the thing about this particular level 58 pre-made test server is that when you make a pre-made character, you have a spear. So you're going to want to go to polearm specialization, but this takes more points to unlock than this. So what ends up happening is you're going to put like all your points into this, and then you need like 1 more point to put somewhere in order to unlock polearm specialization. So I guess I'm going to go up here, and you could either put it into parry. You could either put 1 more point into parry, or, like, just for the purpose of beta, like, I might just put, like, 1 more, like, a point in improved charge, something to get, like, more rage when you charge. I don't know, man. I'm just going to do this, just for one little bit more rage when I charge. But the only reason I'm doing that is to unlock polearm specialization, which we're going to go 5 out of 5 in for extra crit, and then we're going to put a point into Mortal Strike, so we can finally have Big Daddy Mortal Strike. At this point, there's a few things you could do. You could probably drop like 1 point to improve hamstring if you wanted to, but I think it's a little bit more interesting. Or you could do like a weird prop build, like as an orc, you could put like points in defense and then max this out to be like super stun resistant. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Fury. I'm going to get 5 points in cruelty for all that crit. I'm actually going to go booming voice. Just to give myself like a little bit longer time with battle shout uptime, so I like when I forget to do battle shout, it's not that big of a deal. And it also gives you better rage on demo shout, so you can shout rogues out of stealth and stuff. I'm gonna skip both of these because they're not what I'm looking for. I'm gonna put 1 point in piercing hell. I'm gonna put 3 points in blood craze. It's not that much healing, but it's still nice. You could skip blood craze if you wanted to just max out improved battle shout, which is fine to do that. But I'm just gonna go ahead and get some blood craze just for fun. I'm gonna put 1 point in improved battle shout, and then at 60, you're just gonna put 5 points in this. But you don't. But you're level 58, so you're still missing 2 talent points, so you end up with like 3 out of 5 in rage. But this is kind of where I'm at with this. The reason why I might swap out blood craze is if I'm expecting to get nice heals from my team, then you don't even need this. This isn't really even like worth it, I don't think. And then maybe just more battle shout attack power would be really nice, just to like hit like an absolute truck. And I might do that. I might actually swap these out just for fun. But this is kind of what the build looks like in general for Arms Warrior PvP in Classic. This kind of thing is going to happen at the end of maxing out this tree. So 2 points, so 3 points here, 2 points here. This is not usually going to be a talent point unless you have a polearm, which this is just kind of funky, like I said. 5 points here for sure. Definitely want all of this stuff for, you know, crits making your opponents bleed, crits hitting even harder. So I think that's the idea, is that Classic Warrior is like all about crits. Overpower gives you increased chance to crit. This keeps you generating rage in combat and slows the rate that your rage degens out of combat. Big time 2 weapon damage. We always talked about this. Sweeping strikes. Usually, I'm just going to put points in axe specialization, so you won't need to do this funky 1 point thing to get polearm spec. And then, of course, mortal strike, and coming in for more crit and all this. So at level 58, my crit right now with the weird pre-made gear they give you is probably like, what, 16%? Yeah, 16.3%. And we can talk about like macros and stuff a little bit. I don't know if we need to really go all the way through all of them, but I'll show you some of the ones that I've made. Most of them are mostly just have to do with like swapping stances. So like if I ever get an overpower, I want it to put me in battle stance. This equips my whirlwind axe. We probably want to change this, huh? Yeah, we don't have the whirlwind axe. So why don't we make a new macro? So I have like macros for my character that I'm leveling on the leveling realms. Then I have this guy. So then I need to swap this into all my bars here, and then we'll do this. So basically the idea for me is instead of like pressing battle stance and then pressing whatever button I want to on my bar, I usually just have binds that are just going to put me in the stance that I want and press the button. I feel like that's a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient, and none of the macros are complicated. That's the important thing. At least, like, you can make probably some funky complicated macros. I don't usually do that. I don't really know that. And what I'm so much more interested in teaching you guys is how to write a macro. Macros are pretty simple, at least the ones that I write. They just have like one rule, is that you usually can't have 2 abilities that are on the global cooldown in the same macro. Besides that, you can do lots of fun stuff like weapon swaps. Like, right? So I'll have like shield bash it'll be showing that, like, hashtag show tooltip space shield bash shows what will show up on this little icon. So when you hover over it, it'll actually show you the tooltip for shield bash. And this will put me in battle stance. This will shield bash, but basically I'm just spamming it. And then it's going to equip my one-hander and shield. There's probably a better way to do that. That's just what I have right now. Same thing with like charge. So it's showing the tooltip for charge. Hashtag show tooltip charge. I'm actually using my mount here because if you're on your mount and you're running at somebody and you start spamming this, without this line in it, you won't dismount. So I actually have used the reins of the striped lightsaber, whatever my mount is going to be, there, so that it will dismount me, and then I'll start attack, be battle stance if I'm not in battle stance already. Then I will charge, and then once I get there, I'll be able to hamstring. These are all like battle stance and charge. I think will be one key press, but everything else, like, you might have to just like spam it, right? You're gonna spam your button to do all these things. So, you know, once you arrive, you're not gonna automatically hamstring. You need to press it again in order to hamstring, and that's fine. That's okay. You're just gonna like spam it, and once you arrive, you'll do that. Same thing with this. And you'll notice that like a lot of times, like I'll just have, instead of execute bound, what I will have is I'll have a macro that says show tooltip execute, right? So just it looks like execute on my bar, But what it'll do is it'll also start attack. So I can just walk at somebody and start spamming this button, and it'll actually start my auto attack for me, as well as hitting them with execute, instead of just like walking up to them, looking at them, and being like, why don't I have any rage? You have to do a lot of start attack macros. So a lot of these things are going to start to look familiar. There's nothing that's like really too crazy for me right now. A lot of my macros, like I said, are starting off with show tooltip, disarm to show whatever tooltip I want it to be. It'll have start attack. If I need to be in a stance to use this ability, like disarm, it'll put me in that stance. Sometimes I'll add things like blood rage in there. Like if this is like a ability that requires rage that I might not have rage enough to use, like fear and disarm both have this, where it'll be blood rage and then disarm. Same thing with fear. I actually have stop attack in my fear macro though, so if I'm like fighting somebody and I fear them right in their face, I'll stop attacking them so that I won't, hit them. And then that way I can like bandage for like a couple seconds while they're feared, that kind of thing. But that's the basics of it, man, is you just show tooltip to whatever you want this macro to look like on your bar, and whenever you hover over it, you want to actually tell you the tooltip, you can do that. And then as long as you don't like, and how you make it look like this is you just say show tooltip, but you don't put a little icon there. You just use like you just leave it as the question mark, and then it'll pop up as whatever it actually is. And then if it needs to be in a stance, it'll put me in a stance, and then it'll whirlwind. That's the basics. And once again, whenever Classic goes live, or whenever I make updates like stuff like that, I'm happy to make you aware of what macros I'm actually using. But I'll reiterate it again. I think it's so much more important that I help you understand how to write macros, even if they're just basic stuff, because then you can make macros for whatever you want, and that's fine. Even if you don't want to use the exact same macros that I'm making, the basics are show tooltip and then /cast. If it's abilities. If it's an item, then it's oftentimes going to be /use. So you can make like, if you wanted to put diamond flask in like, your recklessness macro, then you'd be like a /use kind of thing. Or when it's like your mount, for that dismount thing, it'll be /use. But the cool thing about this is that if you instead of typing it all out, like if I wanted to, throw fear into this, I think I need to make another window here. You can actually just click it out of your book, right? So just gonna be like macro, right? If I wanted to make a macro, this probably won't work, but you do show tooltip, and you can just click things out of your book, right? Same thing with your weapons. If you want to make like an equip macro, then you can just shift click it out of your book or out of your items, and then if it's a mount, you can just shift click it. So that's like another little easy thing. You can't really shift click show tooltip, I don't think, but everything else, like any stance that you need to do, you just hold down shift and click it with your mouse, and then you can just pop those into a macro, right? So that's the basics of the talents. That's the basics of the macros. The gear is kind of funny if you guys want to see, if you're just curious what they give us for the Alterac Valley pre-made characters. Now all these will be deleted. We won't get to keep these, right? Either the characters we're leveling, we'll get to keep those. Just in case that's a question that pops up. This is all just for testing purposes. And if you guys are interested, I'm still, we're very excited to have our little guy, Archer, here with us, our newborn son. And that definitely keeps our schedule a little bit funky. But if you guys follow the stream and follow me on social media, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram are all at Bajheera Wow. If you guys scroll down in the little description, you'll be able to find all those links. But if you follow me on those platforms, you'll usually know when the stream goes live. And I think this is up until Monday, the AV test realm, so we'll be tearing it up in AV as much as we can during that time. But yeah, if you guys want to come chill with me, that'll be at twitch.tv/Bajheera, streaming the games and gains just about every day. And I'd love to have you guys there. But either way, I hope this video was interesting to you. Definitely very excited to continue to share lots of classic content with you guys as time goes on. But either way, make sure to show this video some love if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!